Hello students, how are you? I hope all of you are quite fine at home. So in regard to the series which I am going to start with the cakewalk to inorganic chemistry, intro has already been shared it with you yesterday. In regard to this particular topic of inorganic chemistry, the endeavor of mine would be to pass you all the information which is available with different books and with different sources at one place, and these videos you could refer to understand inorganic in a better way. I will try to make bring in I just want to sensitize you people that how inorganic chemistry is quite important and you can relate to your physical life. Basically, the nature around you is consisting of lot many things which you can relate to, and as a consequence then it would help you understand inorganic in a better way. As discussed in the intro, so first I am going to start with the p block elements, and in p block first I would want to touch the plus 2 syllabi first, because uh, already 5 months have gone past in this extended lockdown, and upcoming 2021 competition is coming nearby. So first my endeavor is to pass the plus 2 syllabi, and definitely along with the process I shall be passing at least one video per week for the plus 1 syllabi coverage also. As regard to the p block elements, in the plus 2 it starts with nitrogen family. So in the nitrogen family, you must be knowing very well that it is consisting of nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, and bismuth. So in today's session, I shall first there are the in the last of this particular family of the nitrogen, whatever is the last video which would I would be making. So in the last, I am going to compare the general properties of nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth, and their compounds. So what are the trends and techniques which are available to just visualize the general trend of the nitrogen family and their compounds in the last of the session on the nitrogen family. Today first my endeavor would be to tell you the details of each and every compound which is there in your syllabi in regard to the elements of nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, and bismuth. So primarily the compounds are of nitrogen and phosphorus. So today I shall be first taking up the discussion of nitrogen alone. So in this upcoming 40-30 minutes, whatever is the in whatever time I am going to complete it, so I shall be touching the basic part of nitrogen first, and in the process you would feel that how important is inorganic and how is it related to us in one way or the other. Not in one way or the other, it in many ways it is related to our daily routine lives. So as regard to nitrogen, whenever I happen to write any element, say for example nitrogen atomic number 7, configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. So as soon as I write nitrogen, it thrills me. As and when I write any element symbol, it thrills me that all these elements are there in our nature, and we as a human body is a part of that nature. So how we and that elements in the nature are going to interact, so that is very interesting to understand. So if I talk of nitrogen in particular, the nitrogen is available in nature in form of N2, that is, we call it as dinitrogen. So there is a triple bond. You must be knowing it that nitrogen has how many, if I go by Lewis dot structure, so nitrogen has 5 valence electrons. So there is a formation of triple bond. You can relate it with the valence bond theory also, that it is having one sigma bond and two pi bonds. The good part of the story is that the bond energy associated with this nitrogen triple bond is of the order of 945 kilojoule per mole. This is quite a high one, quite a high one. So that is why nitrogen is said to be a inert gas, because the if it is not going to react easily. Now the interesting part is that if I talk of nitrogen, now you might not have felt or may have felt that 4/5 of your air almost 78% is 4/5 of air is into nitrogen. This much of nitrogen is available around you. And if I say on the earth crust, if I say, so on earth crust you would not be able to see much of nitrogen. It is, this element is almost on the 33rd place, so it is not much. So the nature, the god, whatever you want to say, उसने किस तरह से ये हिसाब किताब बनाया है कि एयर के अंदर नाइट्रोजन ही नाइट्रोजन है, बट अर्थ क्रस्ट पे ये बहुत कम है. एंड इफ इट इज वेरी लेस, वेयर इट इज मोस्टली इन द form of mostly it is available in the form of potassium nitrate and sodium nitrate. So this we call it as child salt petri, and this we call it as, majorly it is available in the form of this form because these are water soluble, and then this water soluble salt goes into the soil, and into the soil it runs down as nitrogen. So this particular area which you might be knowing is, there is a river in South America, and there is a area Chile and Puru where this particular compound is available in lot much quantity in the riverbed. So that is why from there this term called child salt petri. So what I was saying is that around you people in the room which you are sitting in and presently seeing this video is containing lot of nitrogen, and on the earth crust it is very less as compared to the other one. And in comparison, if I talk of say for example your when I say uh, silicon is the second or third most abundant element on the earth crust. This also you should remember. So this silicon is so much available, but silicon is so much available on the earth crust, but you would hardly see this much, because what you call it as mitti or earth when you say it. So I am got stuck somewhere. Okay, so what I was saying is that silicon is the second or third most largest abundant element on the earth crust. हर तरफ मिट्टी है, अर्थ है, so it is made up of silica. But our body, human body, is hardly consisting of any silicon. It is very less, very less. So our body, we used to say our body is a mitti. No, if it had been a mitti, then it would have silicon, but it hardly have any silicon. So nature has calculated everything such a way that this part is that much. So as regard to the nitrogen, if you want to see that nitrogen is the very important for living part, living species, any living organism has lot many living organisms require nitrogen. So it's a dire element, that this element is required for the production of amino acids. All amino acids consist of nitrogen, and for that matter proteins. So nitrogen is quite abundant, and this is what, just for the curiosity, human body hardly have any silicon, but earth crust is full of silicon. So that is very interesting to see. Now I just want to pump in little bit of philosophy along with it, so that the things would become uh, I just want to sensitize you that how important is inorganic. We hardly appreciate the fact there are so many elements around us. We hardly have ever seen those elements with this angle. So now as regard to the nitrogen, if I talk of, now the beauty of another thing is that it is colorless, this is odorless, it hardly have any taste, so it is tasteless. So just tasteless. Just imagine, had this nitrogen been having some color, so we would have been in a great problem. अगर इसका कोई color होता nitrogen gas का, so we are inhaling air, so that color might have going into the nostril, and we are exhaling that color. So wherever there is intense color, we would have said that nitrogen is more. So that is the again the beauty of the nature, that he whosoever has made this, that this particular gas, nitrogen or air or oxygen, it is perfectly colorless. So in case it had been a some color, then our eye would have been that way sensitized that we would have seen that. Say for example, in the case of owl के case में, owl is not able to see in the sunlight. So his eyes are so sensitized that it is not able to see in the light, but in the dark his eyes are that much of perception. Maybe the eyes are so sensitized that it uses the area of perception as other than visible, either ultraviolet or infrared, that you have to see into it. So anyhow, this is colorless, odorless, tasteless, and very important, it is non toxic, and is an inert gas. Already said, it is not going to react very easily. It is, these are the general properties. Now as regard to the solubility, that the solubility of nitrogen gas in water, as per your NCRT, is suggesting it is 23.2 ml per liter of water, at STP. So this solubility is quite a less. It is not much. It is quite less. So this is in regard to the physical properties of nitrogen. So as I start explaining other things in regard to the preparation and the chemical reactions of nitrogen, I would want to first signify, this is the way I always do it, that first I will bring in front of you the uses of nitrogen. जब तक हमें uses नहीं समझ आएंगे, we don't appreciate the fact how important it is nitrogen for us. So first, it is used in the manufacture of, you would see in the later part of this video, in the manufacture of ammonia by Haber process. There you require nitrogen. And then in the manufacture of nitric oxide, and the later part we are going to say it as Ostwald process, which actually is the later part of the process of formation of nitric acid. So it is the two important, industrially important compounds where the nitrogen is frequently used. It is also used as an inert medium. It serves as an inert medium for various chemical processes, like in steel industry, जहां पर आपको ऐसा इन्वायरमेंट चाहिए कि और कोई गैस जो रिएक्शन हम कर रहे हैं उसमें यूज उससे रिएक्ट ना कर पाए. सो हमें अगर इनर्ट मीडियम प्रोवाइड करना है, सो नाइट्रोजन गैस इज फ्रीक्वेंटली यूज्ड इन स्टील एंड आयरन इंडस्ट्री, where the things happen to occur in a high temperatures, then there is used as an inert medium. Then this also is used as a refrigerant. So liquid nitrogen, in especially liquid nitrogen. So do you know what is liquid nitrogen? That is very interesting to understand. Here is the liquid nitrogen. So the liquid nitrogen is available, and it is available, and the costing of that liquid nitrogen, which generally books don't show, it cost around rupees 30 to rupees 80 per liter, depending upon the source and the ways by which you want to use it, the percentage of nitrogen in that liquid nitrogen. So it is almost this. So it is not very expensive. It is what is the expensive part is liquid nitrogen. The container which we require, the container required for its storage is quite a expensive one. This is we call it as uh, cryogenic container. So cryogenic containers are, uh, what do we mean by cryogen? Basically, those gases whose boiling point is below -degree, gases gases for which boiling point is lesser than minus, what I should say, 90 degree centigrade. So that particular species where those gases which are having a boiling point lesser than -90, for them there is a special container. That container has a special property that it can, because that liquid would want to change into vapors. because our room temperature is at higher temperature. So if the container is sealed, or it is not having that specification, it can burst out. So that way it is quite a so that particular container is called as Devar container. So this container who is going to store liquid nitrogen is quite expensive. Depending on the size, it can range, it can start from around 7,000 to it can stretch to 20,000. So depending on the size in how much of liquid nitrogen you want to store. So liquid storage of liquid nitrogen is a issue because it start keeping it keep changing into gas. Just hold on. So the point is, now a container which could store it has been tabulated, has been recorded that it can, a best cryogenic container could store liquid nitrogen to a 333 days maximum. This much was the maximum days it can be stored in that, but otherwise it slowly changes to gas and escape the container. So liquid nitrogen is, as you now have seen, that it is a temperature which is below minus 90 degree, it can be stored. And because the liquid nitrogen has such a low temperature, so this could be a very good way or medium by which, if you want to do some chemical reaction which happen to occur at a lower temperature, so liquid nitrogen is very frequently used as a refrigerant, and as well as liquid nitrogen is also used to provide a cooling temperature to a reaction vessel. It is also used for cooling or refrigeration. So this is one part you should focus on. And just for your curiosity, this liquid nitrogen, now just see that how much is it would cost. Your room is consisting of lot of nitrogen, and the nature has provided us free. So this quantity, if I happen to buy it, is around 50 or 60 uh, rupees per liter. So it is not very expensive, but nature has provided us this nitrogen freely available for us. We have not to pay anyone for this one. So as regard to the liquid nitrogen, it is quite it is difficult to handle. So handling is a issue here, because if you don't have proper container, you can't store it. And it is to be, when it is to be dealt with liquid nitrogen, it is to be dealt with quite a good amount of care, because if liquid nitrogen falls on you, it can give you frost bite, क्योंकि temperature बहुत कम है, तो it can freeze your vessels and make make the organs insensitive to the pain and something like that. So this is also called as cryogenic bite. And if it is not taken care, if you put your hand into the liquid nitrogen, it can temporarily impart it, so make it a point. So liquid nitrogen could kill you. So it when it is to be dealt, it is to be dealt with a lot of care. So anyhow, this is apart from this. And another important physical property which I would want to also focus on, that if I write these elements like boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, this also thrills me a lot, a lot. How? What is the thrilling part to me? All of these are, don't you see, all of these are non-metals. So if I happen to write their melting point and boiling point, so that is beauty. So if you talk of boron elemental form B12. So if you want to see, or if you want to see its melting point, it is of the order of around this much degree centigrade, and that of its boiling point is around 3600 degrees centigrade. So I am writing the tentative melting and boiling points. So just see, boron is also a non-metal, but the boiling point is of the order of above 2200 degrees centigrade. So at 2200 degrees centigrade, this element melts. And that for carbon is of the order of 3700 degrees centigrade, or to be very specific, 3727. Many books write it this way, you can refer to the NCRT. So just see the carbon is going to melt at a very high temperature. अगर मेरे को इसको melt करना, तो किसी container में लूंगा, वो container ही पहले melt हो जाएगा. So it is so interesting to see here. But as soon as you just add one proton extra to the carbon, one proton, one electron, just added one proton, one electron to the carbon, you happen to reach a point where the melting point is 200 minus 200 degree 210 degrees centigrade, and that for its boiling point is minus 196 degrees centigrade, and that for oxygen is 118 degrees centigrade, and that for its boiling point is melting boiling point is minus 183 degrees centigrade. So just see, and if I talk of the boiling point of carbon, your ncrt is not endorsing it, that what is its boiling point, it is too high. So it would, some books used to write it is above 4500 degrees centigrade, some says 4300 degrees centigrade, other says 4800 degrees centigrade. So there is no endorsement in the ncrt, so I just don't want to touch that part. The point is that the boiling point would be very high. Now as soon as you see this context into your mind, so this is non-metal, this is also non-metal, this is also non-metal, this is also non-metal, immediately a question comes in mind of a child that why is it so, all these are not. Generally we say metals have high melting and boiling point, but non-metals do have very high melting and boiling point. So the basic reason for this is, as soon as anything start becoming polymeric, anything, any element when start undergoing sort of start repeating the things again and again, so when it tend to become a polymeric, it tend to bring in high melting and boiling point. So as you could see, boron is available as B12, so 12b units joins and they start repeating, so the molecular structure becomes very large. Similarly carbon can repeat itself like anything. So make it a point, so that actually brings in the high melting and boiling point, say in the case of diamond, say in the case of graphite. But nitrogen in the other aspect and oxygen, these are diatomic molecules, so these are not polymeric. So this atomicity which bring into the picture that this nitrogen is diatomic, because there is a strong triple bond and strong double bond in oxygen, these are diatomic. So since these are diatomic, so they have a discrete entities, they can exist as N2 or O2, and being these are non-polar, so the intermolecular forces among them is also very low. So नाइट्रोजन नाइट्रोजन के बीच में जो इंटरमॉलिकुलर फोर्सेस होंगी, या ऑक्सीजन ऑक्सीजन के बीच में जो इंटरमॉलिकुलर फोर्सेस होंगी, दे आर वेरी वेरी पुअर, unlike in case of boron and carbon which is polymeric in nature. So I think I made my point clear. This fascinates me a lot that एक एक प्रोटॉन और इलेक्ट्रॉन भगवान ने एक्स्ट्रा डाल दिया कार्बन में, नाइट्रोजन या ऑक्सीजन बना दिया, but the properties get totally different. And this again, so this part I'm going to touch in boron and carbon family in detail also. There are other aspects in all of these families, there are very interesting facts and figures which if dealt with or taught, it really engages a child. Now as regard to what we are supposed to, other part which we should know about nitrogen is that, as I said, it is inert and it is having a low melting and boiling point. So commercially if you want to so see the distillation of air is the best way to produce nitrogen. Distillation of air produces nitrogen commercially. So what basically is that the boiling point of nitrogen is lower than that of, if you could see, the boiling point of nitrogen is lower than that of oxygen. So nitrogen is distilled first, leaving aside oxygen. So oxygen is distilled at a higher temperature. So here I should also tell you, when you start distilling air, the distillation of air along with the distillation of air along with nitrogen tend to be distilled at the first. There are other gases which are 7 or 8 which also get produced during the distillation of air. These generally are oxygen, carbon dioxide, then most of them are noble gases, that is neon, argon, krypton, xenon. Because you could very well understand that all of these gases, along with this some amount of carbon monoxide is also there. What I'm trying to say, there are other gases also like SO2 H2S, but their quantity is very very less. So most of the air में वो gases होंगी जो ज़्यादा reactive नहीं होंगी. अगर air में gases बहुत reactive होंगी, say for example there are two reactive gases, say for example if I happen to say in my physical classes hydrogen is there, oxygen is there, you just combine them. Hydrogen is there in the air some amount, oxygen is also there, you switch on the fan and water get poured on your guest. घर पे कोई गेस्ट आया, पंखा चलाया आपने, हाइड्रोजन ऑक्सीजन टकराया और वाटर बन गया, ऐसा नहीं हो रहा है. सो बिकॉज ऑक्सीजन इज नॉट अगेन वेरी रिएक्टिव सॉर्ट ऑफ ए गैस, and hydrogen, the hydrogen hydrogen bond is quite a high energy, 435 kilojoule per mole, so it is again a very strong bond, so it is generally don't going to react very easily. So what I was just wanting to tell you that the distillation of air actually produces nitrogen commercially. In the commercial level, this is by the distillation we lower down the temperature of the nitrogen, then compress it below its critical temperature, liquefy it, and that liquefaction results in the production of nitrogen gas. Other than this, you also should know that nitrogen, there are some isoelectronic electronic and isostructural entities with the nitrogen. What are these? These are carbon monoxide, then nitric oxide, and your carbon monoxide, Cn negative, sorry. So other part is, let me rub it, Cn negative. This are, all of these are isoelectronic to nitrogen. All of these are containing 40 electrons, but all of these carbon monoxide, all of these are having triple bond. If I happen to write it, so all of these are having triple bond, and for carbon monoxide also it is a triple bond, but all of these are reactive, all of these are reactive then molecular nitrogen, that is N2, because all of these are polar entities, polar species, they have polarity in them, but nitrogen is non-polar, this is non-polar, so that is the main reason why that nitrogen is not very reactive, whereas the other isoelectronic species, and this particular topic we have learned a lot, all of these tend to act as strong field ligands, strong field ligands in the topic of coordination chemistry. So we have read this in very detail and you must be having an idea. So this is what we said till now. So this is just I just wanted to bring in. So we just started with the nitrogen and its abundance in the nature, then the physical properties, non-toxic, non-corrosive, non tasteless, odorless, low solubility in water. Then the uses. I intentionally started with the uses so that you could feel it. Then also we have explained that how it is being produced. Now let us come on to the chemical ways of production of nitrogen gas. So this is the area from where you could get lot many questions. So let us start the preparation of nitrogen gas, and with better way would be the chemical ways to by which you can produce the nitrogen. First is on the commercial level. Commercial level, it is, as already said, it is by distillation of air. This I have already said, distillation of air produces nitrogen, so this is the best way to produce nitrogen gas. But on the chemical ways, let us discuss one by one, and along with it I do let you know what are the things of the NCERT and what are the topics which are apart from NCERT. तो मेरा कोशिश ये होगी कि नाइट्रोजन बनाने के जितने भी सिलेबस में मेथड्स हैं वो इस वीडियो में सारे कवर हो जाएं, सो दैट आई कुड सेव योर टाइम. Otherwise you have to refer to different books and to see different details wherever it is present. So the endeavor is I would want to help you out by providing all the ways by which you could make nitrogen, and in the subsequent videos also, whatever topic I would start it with, whatever details and studies are there for that many compound and different sources, I will push that into one video. हो सकता है कुछ चीज रह जाए, that is a different thing. If something is get missed, do let me know on the chat, on the comment section. I will add into that particular video. So now let us start. What are the methods and by the ways by which you can produce the nitrogen gas? So let us start with. So first method is thermal decomposition. Thermal decomposition. Thermal decomposition of some important compounds. Now let us see what are those compounds. First, you can make it with you can decompose, or you can take a aqueous solution of ammonia, or you can simply do it with ammonium chloride. Aqueous solution of ammonium chloride when mixed with sodium nitrite solution, and you have to mix these two solutions and just have to heat it. So basically this ammonium and nitrate, if I happen to write simply as a decomposition reaction, if you heat it, what you are going to get is that this we have done lot many times, and I have explained in the video of n factors also, that wherever you have ammonium salt, wherever you have ammonium salt, where the ammonium's oxidation state is -1, and for this nitrogen it is +3. So wherever you have ammonium salt within any oxidizing agent, so this is ammonium salt with a oxidizing anion. Oxidizing anion. So ammonium with oxidizing anion. What is oxidizing anion? Oxidizing anion has that is that anion where one of the element of that anion has the tendency to go to the lower oxidation state. So say here it is in +3, it would like to go to the lower oxidation state like 0, -1, -2, and so on. So if a species have the tendency to go to the lower oxidation state, then we will say it is a oxidizing anion. So the fact of the matter is, wherever you have ammonium salt with a some oxidizing anion, so what exactly it does is, whatever number of hydrogens it has, so whatever hydrogens it has, that hydrogens will come out as water. So there are 4 hydrogens, so the water would come out, leaving behind nitrogen. So this is a very important reaction where what you are able to see, it goes from -3 to 0, and this goes from +3 to 0. So this in a way is also called as comproportionation reaction, where the same substrate has 2 nitrogen atoms in different oxidation state and goes to the same product with same oxidation state. So it is a sort of comproportionation reaction. So here if you want to show it in one go, we could say that what it is going to produce is the nitrogen along with what you call it as water and NaCl. So this is one way of doing it, that if you have aqueous solution of these two, heat them together, so this would liberate nitrogen gas. So this is the one way or of making nitrogen gas. Another way is, similarly, if you take another compound with a oxidizing anion like ammonium dichromate. So here dichromate is again a oxidizing anion where chromium is in +6 oxidation state and would want to go to the lower oxidation state. So here what you are going to see, how many hydrogens you have? 8 hydrogens. So 8 hydrogen means that 4 water molecule could come out. So 4 water molecule came out, and now you are left with 2 chromium and the other oxygen. So that is Cr2O3, which is solid, and it is in +3 oxidation state. And along with that, what you get is, so what I'm trying is कि इस रिएक्शन के साथ साथ आपको छोटे छोटे ट्रिक्स बता रहा हूं by which you could understand also that how do I get nitrogen during the thermal decomposition of a ammonium salt. But that ammonium salt must be with some oxidizing anion. Let me write one more. Let's say this is ammonium salt, this is ammonium salt. Now if you heat this ammonium salt, this is not a oxidizing anion because chlorine is already in -1. ये और नीचे नहीं जा सकता, it can go to 0 or +1 or +2, some +3, ये ऊपर जा सकता है. So it is a reducing anion, it is a reducing anion, not a oxidizing anion. So here the reaction would not give you nitrogen. Here if happen to heat you, it simply give you ammonia and HCl. as simple as that. So here, because ammonium salt is not with the reducing, not with the oxidizing anion. So because अमोनियम में नाइट्रोजन है -3 पे, वो नीचे आना चाहता है, Cl नेगेटिव भी -1 पे है, तो वो ऊपर नहीं जा सकता है. It cannot make it because this won't happen. So that you have to take care of. So first method of preparation I think is clear to all of you, that first you can do the thermal decomposition of some compounds. Another thermal decomposition you could do for hydrazine also. So this I'm going to take up this topic in very detail. This hydrazine, if heated, also produces nitrogen and ammonia. So to balance this out, we can place it here 3. So this would also be how much? This would be 4. So now it is 4 3 is 12. Okay, it is being balanced. So hydrazine decomposition also could produce your nitrogen gas. The problem with all these methods which we have just discussed, that along with nitrogen you are going to get water along with it. So the vapors of water also come along with the nitrogen. So here you would get the vapors of ammonia also. So in the second method which is being referred, so all these methods, let me write it one abbreviation for all of these. So I should write it with some different color. So let me write it with green marker. So wherever, so this is the part of NCRT. So wherever I am using this marker, so this also being given in is endorsed in your NCRT. So another method is to make nitrogen is it is given in your NCRT along with. This is the preparation of pure nitrogen. If you want to make a pure nitrogen, so the best way to make a pure nitrogen is to take some azide. So what are these azides? Like barium azide. So if you simply heat this barium azide, what you end up with getting is barium along with nitrogen gas. So this is one of the way. Or you may also take sodium azide. So this particular reaction is given in NCRT. So I will touch some details of this topic also. Just wait a minute. So this sodium azide also could produce your nitrogen. This also could produce nitrogen. To balance it out, you have to place it 2 here. And similarly, you may also take what you call this as lead azide. This also is very popular reaction. So this also gives you Pb plus 3 nitrogen gas. So in all of these reactions, what I would say is that this is the purest form, because these are the metals which would remain as such as got precipitated out, and this will produce lot of nitrogen. And also you have to see, because this is producing lot of gas, so these all these reactions are highly entropy driven. So these are highly entropy driven, so that is why their kinetics of this particular reaction is very very high. So now because this is there in the part of your NCRT, so you have to focus in CBSE. If you happen to somebody ask you that write the purest form of making nitrogen, so you can refer to this particular thing. So in competition, apart from this, what I may also specify here, which might not be in your mind, that this nitrogen, if I talk of, let's say, let me write it first. So first I should write it that azides of lead, mercury and barium, these are highly sensitive compounds. These are very reactive compounds. So these are used in detonators, detonator caps, uh, because these explodes, because these explodes when being struck sharply, when being struck sharply. सो जितने भी एक्सप्लोसिव्स हैं उनका जो कैप होता है उसमें ये एजाइड्स डाल रखे होते हैं. सो एज उन एज trigger happens to happen, if you click the trigger, so that hit this cap and then the explosion tend to happen. So these, in that sense, you have to be very vigilant that these are very reactive, and these are very sensitive compounds, shock sensitive compounds. rather I would say. So these explodes very aggressively, or all the azides related compounds are very reactive. Now another thing which you should focus on, that if I happen to write N2 plus electron changes to azide, so to balance this out I should put it 2 here, 3 here, and 2 electrons. Now you could see that if I want to write its SRP, reduction potential of nitrogen, reduction potential of nitrogen going to azide, or in other way, if I write it in the reverse way, let me write the first the value. So this value is almost of the order of minus 3.68 volt. So this is very what I would say a strong reducing agent. In the other way, what I wanted to say it, that if you have azide changes to this and losing out 2 electrons, so the oxidation potential would become plus 3.68. So if it is happening in acidic medium, so then the value is a bit little different, that if I take it like this, so this is 3 nitrogen plus 2 H positive plus 2 electron. In the acidic medium, if you do the same thing, so the value happen to come around 3 point, I would say 3.33 volt. So this is what you could see in the book of Hui of inorganic chemistry. These details are there. So that is very important to understand that. Now what I am trying to convey it to you, these azides are very sensitive compounds. These happen to give out electrons very fast, so they are the strongest reducing agents, and that is being endorsed by this value. Now if you have read the electrochemical series, in electrochemical series in NCRT and most of the book, we hardly see these values. We mainly see the lithium positive takes electron changes to lithium, the SRP value or E naught RP for this is minus 3.04, or in the terms of oxidation potential, if I write, so it is having a oxidation potential of plus 3.04. So you could see that apart from lithium there are few more other such compounds which are very strong reducing agent. So always remember this thing in your mind, azides are strong reducing agents. These are very strong reducing agents, and that is the fact that which I said it, that here it explodes very vigorously. So as a matter of fact, just pump in, just I want to pump in few more information here, which would you would love to see that information because it is quite important. That is hydrazoic acid. This hydrazoic acid is hydrazoic acid, which is the counter ion of this is azide ion, which I was referring as to be strong reducing agent. This is also a weak acid. Its pK value is almost around acetic acid, around 5. It is not a very strong acid. But the point which you should remember is that both in the solid and liquid state, this is a very strong explosive. So has to be handled with. So if you heat it mildly also, it will explode like anything. Heating may lead to explosion. So this you also focus on along with the other details of nitrogen, because in a minute's time I do pass it to you that with hydrozoic acid you are able to produce nitrogen. Just see here, because if it happen to lose electron, it can go to the nitrogen. So in a way it is a method of preparation of nitrogen. Let us see that also in a minute's time. So other thing which you should also could remain, this is highly uh, what I would say highly poisonous. This is highly poisonous liquid or solid, depending on the temperature in which you are going to do this reaction. Now as regard to the other part of what I was stating is that how hydrazoic acid or the salt of hydrazoic acid would produce nitrogen. So this is a simple one, and now this is my one of my favorite of reaction, because it is very interesting to see that sodium azide, if happen to pass through hydrogen sulfide in a aqueous medium in water, so what it tend to do is that it produces nitrogen, it produces sulfur, it produces ammonia along with NaOH. Now this is a very beautiful redox reaction for which I would want you to just go through the N factor series where I have placed some videos explaining this reaction. So here if you could see, the nitrogen is in minus 1 by 3 oxidation state, average oxidation state, and it goes to, there are how many nitrogen atoms? 3 nitrogen atom. Among the 3 nitrogen atom, only 2 are going to 0 and 1 is going to minus 3. So that is the beauty of this reaction. And this is from 0, it is from 0, it is going, sorry, minus 2, from minus 2 it is going to 0. So this is very beautiful reaction which you should focus on, that in the later part of N factor series you could see this reaction is being explained by me in one of my video. So now if you could see that if this sodium azide, if I happen to write hydrozoic acid, if hydrozoic acid is happen to react with lithium, so this form lithium azide, this is the lithium azide formed along with ammonia and nitrogen gas. Now let me balance this out, this would become 6, and the lithium I should take it as 4. So if I take it this as 4, this also is 4. So 4 3s are 12. So here you have 18. So that means this would be 2. So 6 hydrogens are there. So it got balanced. So this is again a very, very beautiful reaction which you should focus on, that hydrozoic acid when treated with lithium metal, this also produces nitrogen gas. So in a way, as I told you earlier, that wherever but by whatever means you are going to produce nitrogen is being covered in this video. एक आधा कुछ रह जाएगा, that's a different story. That can happen. And similarly, if I treat the hydrozoic acid, hydrozoic acid, hydrozoic acid simply with HCl, 2 moles of HCl, so what I shall be getting is nitrogen along with ammonia and chlorine. So I think it got balanced. Yes, it is being balanced. Now this is very interesting. So I would want you to analyze all of these reactions from the viewpoint of viewpoint of redox. So and also from the viewpoint of N factor or equivalent weight. If somebody asks you the equivalent weight of hydrozoic acids in this, or for that matter N factors for this, so that is very, very interesting and challenging problem. So I would want those who are really working on this particular topic should focus on it. So this was the, now from here onwards, this was the part of NCRT, but I explained the other domain which are these. So here a beautiful information is there, that there are some reducing agents which are even more stronger reducing agent than lithium, that is azide ion. And because of that strong reducing nature, it is very, very reactive, and these are shock sensitive compounds. That is why it is used in explosions also. Now this was the third method. Now the fourth method would be, let me reiterate what readdress what we said. So we started, only we have done two methods: thermal decomposition, second is purest form of nitrogen. And I may say here that we may say that nitrogen could be produced from, third method could be from hydrozoic acid. So you can place this as hydrozoic acid. So you can place one of the, you can produce nitrogen from hydrozoic acid or from the azide ion. So the fourth method now you can focus on is from ammonia. So this is also important. From ammonia you can also produce nitrogen gas. Now this is very interesting. Now first of all you should focus that this ammonia is a very mild reducing agent. It is not a strong reducing agent like azide ion is, or for that matter hydrazine is. Ammonia is a very mild reducing agent. ये किसी किसी reaction में ammonia get turned to change, it goes it oxidizes to nitrogen. That is in two cases. They simply may ask in the examination that if you want to produce nitrogen from ammonia, what with what kind of reactant it is to be reacted. So there are two compounds which tend to produce nitrogen when reacted with ammonia, where ammonia is acting as a reducing agent. One is you call it as chlorine. With chlorine, it can react to form what you call it as ammonium chloride plus nitrogen. Now, this also is a very interesting reaction, which I used to phrase it like this: 8161. So, what does it mean? 8161. Why it is quite interesting is that here you have 8 nitrogen atoms of -3 oxidation state, and 6 are not changing their oxidation state, and 2 are going from -3 to 0 oxidation state, and chlorine goes from 0 to -1. So this is again a very interesting question where examiner may ask you the n factors of these also. So I am just passing on along with another domain, along with the production of chlorine, along with the understanding the fact that the ammonia is not a very strong reducing agent. It reduces few of the things, not many. That information also to be kept in mind. Along with it, I am telling you these are all redox reactions, so you can open, and I am opening another window on which you can work on. Similarly, if you treat ammonia with cupric oxide, this changes this into copper plus nitrogen plus water. So now you can balance this out, that hydrogens are 6 here, so I should place it 3. So now it is, let me put it 3 3. It is getting get it got balanced. तो ये एक तरीका हो सकता है जिसमें अमोनिया as a reducing agent, so as a mild reducing agent, it converts chlorine into halide and cupric oxide into copper. So this is the fourth method. Now comes the next method. Next method is of, you can refer it from, so this would be the fifth method, from hydrazine. This is very very important and interesting. This hydrazine is N2H4, where nitrogen is -2, and now this is a fairly good reducing agent. So this is a good reducing agent. This want to change into N2. Now what are the reactions where you could see? I can give you uh, uh, 2 3 reactions with a balanced one. Others you have to do it the balancing yourself. I will let you know the context of the thing. So if hydrazine is treated with oxygen, if hydrazine is treated with oxygen, what we end up getting is, we are going to get nitrogen plus 2 moles of water. 2 moles of water. So this is a very beautiful reaction. Delta H for this reaction is very very negative. So it is highly exothermic reaction. So it is very very important that here what you are able to see here, it is -2 to 0. So that means it is undergoing what? Oxidation. So it is acting as a reducing agent. So similarly, if you treat hydrazine with halogen, that is X2, so this changes to HX, HCl, and where along with that you would get the nitrogen gas. So here also you could balance this out, that there are 4, so this would be 2. So in a way, what I'm going to do is that, because this topic is quite a lengthy one, that hydrazine as a reducing agent reduces many of the reactants. Like if you could treat it with ferric chloride, this goes to FeCl2 along with an N2 gas plus some HCl also, you can balance it out. So similarly, if you treat hydrazine with this particular species FeCN6 3 negative, where the iron is in +3 oxidation state, this happened to go to FeCN6 4 negative, that is iron is in +2 oxidation state, and along with it nitrogen is liberated, and with the other byproducts also. So what we are saying is that it can do lot many things. Now let me write it this way, that hydrazine as a reducing agent can be treated with oxygen, can be treated with halogen, can be treated with KMNO4, can be treated with KMNO4 in presence of sulfuric acid, can be treated with FeCl2, FeCl3. So this is quite a lengthy method. So you could see there are so many methods of making nitrogen gas. So you can place it with the potassium iodate where it changes to iodine. Then you can place it with the cupric oxide. The list is quite a lengthy one. You can place it with, this also is very important, PtCl4, AuCl3, HgCl2, and still you have silver nitrate. So in all of these you can use hydrogen as a reducing agent, and it is going to produce, in this case it produced water, in this case it produced HCl along with the nitrogen gas. Along with the nitrogen gas, here also you are going to get potassium sulfate plus manganese sulfate and plus nitrogen gas. So this is also important. So here you are going to put this. The balancing part you can do it, what I am trying to explain it to you. Here you get potassium iodide along with water plus nitrogen. Here you get copper plus nitrogen plus water. So here PtCl4 you get Pt plus HCl plus N2. Here also you get Au plus HCl plus N2. Here you get Hg plus HCl plus N2. Here you get silver plus HNO3 plus N2. So what you are able to see is that these are the ways by which you can produce. So just see how many ways are available to get the nitrogen from the hydrazine. So that is very, very interesting to remember. This is very, very interesting to remember that hydrazine is a reagent of choice for making nitrogen gas during a chemical process because it is a fairly good reducing agent. Now let us move on to the next topic. So this is from the hydrazine. This had been your point number. What I said. This is point number 5. So okay, my laptop is also giving me some pain because my laptop also have not seen so many methods of preparation of nitrogen. So the sixth method is from, this also is very important to remember. The next method is from N2O, that is laughing gas. Laughing gas. So this basically is, here the nitrogen is in +1 oxidation state and we call it as nitrous oxide. So here this N2O is acting as an oxidizing agent, because if you simply decompose this reactant, if you simply decompose this reactant like this N2O at low temperature, so what it could change into oxygen. So if I place a 2 here, so this would become 2. And high temperature, what happens is if you decompose it at a little higher temperature, it forms nitric oxide plus N2. So here also you are going to get this way. So what we are trying to say is that this N2O can produce nitrogen. So it can produce nitrogen during a chemical reaction when it is acting as an oxidizing agent. Now this is again very, very important to remember that what it could do. So if you have N2O treated with phosphorus or carbon or sulfur, this is very, very interesting to remember that this is such a beautiful oxidizing agent. It converts phosphorus into P4O10. So it provided sufficient amount of oxygen. It convert this into carbon dioxide, this as to S2. Now once it does that way, so now to balance this out, how many oxygen do I require? 10 here, so you are going to produce 10 nitrogen here. So carbon, so you require 2 oxygen, so here I shall be requiring 2, so you are going to get 2 moles of nitrogen. So here also you treat it with 2 moles and you get 2 nitrogen. So this also is a very interesting example where you could produce nitrogen gas leaving aside other non-metals oxide. Okay, so this is the sixth method which you could refer to. And last but not the least, I am able to compile up everything now. So now this was the last method. So as regard to the last method, what we can think of from nitrous acid. This also is a very important compound, HNO2. So those who have done organic chemistry a bit, they can understand the importance of this compound, because if you could remember that if you have any primary amine diazotization reaction, if you have any primary amine treated with nitrous acid, it tend to give you alcohol plus water plus N2 gas. This produces N2 gas. So there is a detailed mechanism for this one, but here I shall be discussing in a shortcut way. So the shortcut which you might have done with your teachers also, this is the shortcut. You just write nitrous acid like this, and this is primary amine. You can say it like this. So this is ROH, N2 and water. So this is alcohol, this is N2, and this is your water. So this is the tip to remember, that if you treat primary amine with nitrous acid, it is going to produce what? Nitrogen gas. Now what else you could get is, if you have some amide and it is treated with nitrous acid, what you are going to get, again the logic you can apply here is this one. You just write it like this and treat the nitrous acid like this. So what you are going to get is this and this. So what you are able to get here is carboxylic acid plus nitrogen plus water. So again, this is another way to make. Now what they shall be asking you in the exam, the question would be written like this: urea treated with nitrous acid. So they will ask you what is the product form. So what is urea? NH2 CONH2. So now the way I told you, if you treat it with HNO2, what you are going to get, this is the question. So you can simply, so you have to focus on NH2 part. So this is NH2 part, whatever is there along with it. Just let me write it this way once again. uh, Let me write it like this: NH2 like this, CO NH2. So I deliberately have opened up, and now I can write it nitrous acid like this. Here also I can write nitrous acid like this. Now what you are getting is water, nitrogen, water. This is the shortcut. There is a actual explanation available in the organic chemistry. So what you are able to get is 2 moles of water and 2 moles of nitrogen gas. Along with it, you are going to get carbonic acid, H carbonic acid. And if this carbonic acid is further broken, you are basically going to get carbon dioxide and water. So this is another way you can produce nitrogen. The problem is that when in many of these methods you are producing nitrogen gas, along with nitrogen gas sometimes other gases are also produced. So then it is a little tedious to separate. Otherwise, this is one of the ways to produce nitrogen gas, no doubt about it. So as regard to this nitrous acid, one more reaction I would pass it to you, which is in continuation with what we have done till now. We came across a topic of hydrozoic acid. So this particular reaction is very close to me, and I love this reaction explaining it. That hydrazine, which we have already done, hydrazine we have already done, and this is nitrous acid, this also we have already done. If you react them together, what you are going to get is hydrozoic acid. And this is such a beautiful reaction where nitrogen is uh, in -2 oxidation state, it is in +3 oxidation state, and here average oxidation state is -1/3. So this is going from this side to this side as well as this side to this side. So for this particular reaction, I would advise you to reach out to me in a video where it is being discussed in very detail in terms of n factor. So it is a beautiful reaction. So why I touched this reaction? Because hydrazine I have taught today a bit of it, nitrous acid I have taught, and hydrozoic acid also I have taught. So that is why it is very important. Now here my question would be, what it is acting as? Is it acting as an oxidizing agent or reducing agent? Same, it is acting as a reducing agent here, and this is acting as an oxidizing agent. Another two reactions which you can add here is, for this particular topic, is hydrazine when treated with ozone. This also gives you hydrozoic acid. So I should put 3 here along with water and oxygen. So how many water you shall be getting here would be, so this would be 5, and this I should place at 5. So this and this also should be 5. So it got balanced. So this also produces this. And similarly, if you are able to read this much, so you should also do this hydrogen peroxide also. So this also gives you hydrozoic acid along with 10 moles of water. If I place 5 here, and it has got balanced. So why I touched this, because these three topics we have by chance done in today's session, where इससे भी मैं नाइट्रोजन बना सकता हूं, इससे भी नाइट्रोजन बना सकता हूं, इससे भी नाइट्रोजन बना सकता हूं. That is the beauty. And they can react with themselves also to produce different things. So that is very interesting to remember. So in a way I taught you how to make hydrozoic acid during the process. ठीक है. So this is the details of the preparation of nitrogen. So in this much time we are able to do the preparation. So as regard to many of you now start thinking it that अगर chemical reactions भी इतने हुए तो ये तो बहुत tough है याद करना. So chemical reactions are very less. Chemical reactions of nitrogen are very less because it is having a triple bond whose energy is 945 kilojoule per mole. So this is having a very high bond energy, so it is not chemically very reactive. So here you can feel that now as regard to the chemical reaction, you won't be getting much reactions based on it. Reason being that basically it is not a very reactive gas. So let us study what are the reactions where you could see that nitrogen could react with different metals and non-metals. So first, reaction with metals. So if I talk of reaction with metals, it vigorously react with nitrogen. So nitrogen in that sense from the S block, from the alkali metals, shows a anomalous behavior that it reacts with nitrogen, unlike other alkali metals, the speed with which it reacts to form lithium nitrite. So it has to be little heated, and you could balance this like this. So another one is that it can react with magnesium or calcium. So this nitrogen can react with magnesium and calcium to form magnesium nitride or calcium nitride. Here the temperature required obviously would be more, of the order of 450 degrees centigrade, or when it is red hot, when magnesium is made red hot at a high temperature, then you pass nitrogen gas into it converts into magnesium nitrite. So alkali and alkaline earth metals, if you could see here, that alkali and alkaline earth metal reacts with nitrogen, and they tend to form ionic compounds. But unlike the other p block elements, if you happen to react nitrogen with aluminium, so this forms aluminium nitrite. And similarly, if you treat it with boron at high temperature, this temperature is of the order of 800 degrees centigrade, and this also is at a very high temperature. I'm not recalling the temperature. So it can form boron nitrite, and this then get polymerized to form BnX. And this boron nitride could also be formed from diborane, B2H6, in the presence of ammonia. So, and this is a better method rather than this one, because this engages very high temperature of the order of 1000 degrees centigrade. So that is not advisable. So this method is more important, but nevertheless you can make aluminium nitride and boron nitride, and these primarily is because it tend to become polymeric, so this tend to be a little sort of covalent compounds rather than a ionic one. So this is quite a important one. So going on to this is the where the nitrogen directly reacted with metals and non-metals. Now this nitrogen could also react with some important named reactions. Where nitrogen is used as one of the reactant is nitrogen in presence of hydrogen forms ammonia. So the details of this reaction would come up in the next video, where I shall be discussing in detail the ammonia itself. So this is called as Haber's process. Here the temperature required is of the order of 773 Kelvin, and around 200 atmosphere pressure is required. Iron and molybdenum is required as catalyst, so that is there. So the details of this is coming in the next video in very detail. So similarly, you can treat nitrogen with oxygen to form nitric oxide, and here the temperature required is of the order of 2000 Kelvin. Around this much Kelvin temperature is required. So here this nitric oxide later on reacts with oxygen to form NO2, which then react with water to form nitric acid. This basically is a Ostwald process. This again is coming in detail in the, don't miss that topic of nitric acid, which I'm going to explain it in very detail. So next one is that next important reaction is where calcium carbide, this also is a very important reaction of nitrogen, where it reacts with nitrogen to form calcium cinnamide along with carbon. This is called as calcium cinnamide. Calcium, you can say it like this, cinnamide. This is the species. So this is called as calcium cinnamide. Calcium cinnamide, or you also call it as nitrolium. So here also calcium carbide directly reacts with nitrogen at a temperature of around, I think so, 1000 Kelvin, so 1000 degrees centigrade or more than that. So these are some of the chemical reactions. Now the question is, we have done so many things. Now this I will leave at your part. अब जितना भी हमने पढ़ा है, इसको जब तक आप कंसोलिडेट नहीं करोगे, आपको चीजें याद नहीं रहेंगी. So I can tell you the trick to remember this. Just make a A4 sheet of all these discussion and place it in your note copy or in the study table. जब भी आप पास से निकलो, इसको देखो और स्लोली स्लोली ये याद होना शुरू हो जाएगा. So first you have to write N2 at the center. Just write it N2 at the center. This is the way how to prepare inorganic chemistry. So first you write somewhere here. So from here you start writing what are the ways by which you can prepare this. So all those methods by which you can prepare, you can write it like this. So you have prepared nitrogen from thermal decomposition of ammonium nitrite or ammonium dichromate. This is the discussion. Then you treated it with barium azide heating or lead azide heating. So I'm doing it a little speedy way. So and then you made it from hydrazine. So hydrazine में हमने क्या क्या डाला? What are the things which we add? We can add oxygen, we can add halogen, we can add FeCl3. So all those reagents you can write in a small way कि हाइड्राजीन में हम क्या डालें कि नाइट्रोजन बन जाएगी. Then nitrous acid में हम क्या डालें? We added phosphorus. We added what you call it as hydrazine itself. So it produce, no, not hydrazine. In the nitrous acid is treated with, sorry, I should write it here once again. In the nitrous acid preparation we used amine. Used amine, urea, amide. So and similarly you could make it from hydrozoic acid also. What are the things you added to the hydrozoic acid? So all these ways you can make. एक साइड से आप सारी प्रिपरेशंस लिखो और इधर आप लिख दो इसके सारे केमिकल रिएक्शंस ऑन दिस साइड. सो द केमिकल रिएक्शंस आर वेरी लेस. सो द मेन A4 शीट के पेज के सेंटर में एक साइड पे प्रिपरेशंस लिख दो, एक साइड पे केमिकल रिएक्शंस लिख दो और बीच में यहाँ कहीं स्पेस बना के आप ये लिख दो the physical properties. This is colorless, tasteless, whatever you find it important during the discussion. Tasteless, odorless, has high low melting and boiling point, then percentage in the air, 4/5 of air, and so on. Whatever you want to write it here, you can write it here. So the reactions are very less. You treat it with lithium, magnesium, then you calcium carbide, or with that you call it as hydrazine to form ammonia. Here calcium cinnamide, here magnesium nitride. So the chemical reactions are very less. The preparations are very much. So this is what I wanted to share it with you. So this is last part which sometimes have been asked by people. to me, they people have read somewhere that what is active nitrogen. This is a very important term which generally confuses a child. What is active nitrogen? Active nitrogen is nothing when electric spark is, or इलेक्ट्रिक स्पार्क कह लीजिए या डिस्चार्ज कह लीजिए, इलेक्ट्रिक स्पार्क और डिस्चार्ज is given to nitrogen gas at very very low pressure, very very low pressure. The glowing of glowing of gas is produced, glowing of gas is produced, which is known as active nitrogen. Active nitrogen, basically the nitrogen has broken from triple bond to single, broken from diatomic to monatomic, so it has become monoatomic. And it, since it has become monoatomic at very low pressure, you applied electric discharge, so that makes it this as to be very very reactive, very reactive, I would say, because the dinitrogen has converted into that monatomic, and this monatomic species tend to show a color. So that is, in that sense, it is quite important. And now I would want you to consolidate all the topics related to the nitrogen which has been covered. So it is a exhaustive discussion in terms of nitrogen. So now it is at your level, to what level you can digest it. So I have marked all those reactions, all those figures where it is asked in the NCRT. So this, as in the chemical reaction, I can mention it where. So in this is from NCRT. This also is from NCRT. This is there in the NCRT, and all of these are there in the NCRT. This is from NCRT, and this also is from NCRT. So this reaction is not given in NCRT, but you can refer it. It is there in the S block elements. So what I did is, all those areas wherever you get nitrogens in any way, N2 gas or its reactions or preparation, it, I tried to put it in one video. And in the process कुछ reactions फिर भी रह गए होंगे. So as soon as I get to know about it, I will pass it to you. Hope you have liked this discussion of nitrogen. In the next video, I shall be doing one more compound of nitrogen, and slowly and steadily every week I shall be passing 2-3 videos on the inorganic domain. Thanks a lot. Take good care of yourself and stay safe. Bye bye.